Am I polishing a turd, or can I make this car into a nice, drivable car again? Meet Wayne, a 1991 BMW 325i convertible, also known as an E30. Wayne is currently drivable, but he needs some help and attention, which I've not been doing lately. This is the first of a series of videos to improve this car and to try to help save him. Wayne was manufactured in October of 1990. He has an automatic 4-speed ZF HP22 transmission. The exterior color is Alpine Weiss 2. The interior color is indigo blue. The top color is black. It was electric, but was converted to manual by the previous owner. The E30 3 Series convertible were sold new from the year 1987 until 1992. 143,371 E30 convertibles were made in total. The 1992 325iC had an MSRP of $36,320. He has a naturally aspirated inline 6-cylinder gasoline engine known as an M20B25 with a Bosch Motronic DME fuel system. It's supposed to have 168 horsepower with 164 foot-pounds of torque, a fuel consumption of 24 miles per gallon US, and a curb weight of 2,888 pounds. 8.7 seconds 0 to 60, maximum top speed of 134 miles per hour. Highly doubtful that this one will do either of those. The wheelbase is 101.18 inches with a length of 170.28 inches, a width of 64.76 inches, and a height of 53.94 inches. Suspension is a double joint spring McPherson strut in front and an independent semi-trailing arm suspension in rear. Stock tire size are 195/65 on 14-inch rims. Vented disc at the front and non-vented disc at the rear. Until 1990, the earlier versions had huge diving board bumpers. This one here appears to have just made the cut to get the plastic bumpers. Here's the story on how I acquired this lovely specimen of a car. In mid-May 2017, my family went to the Vintage event in Hot Springs, North Carolina. Vintage is a BMW car event held on Memorial Day weekend or around that time every year in North Carolina. There are well over 200 cars at the event, all BMWs, all models, condition, and variances. The event is mainly for the participants to bring and show and enjoy their cars, but on Saturday they open a field up and everybody's welcome to come. It's free of charge, and basically what you can do is walk around and look at all the different variants of the cars, enjoying a lot of the BMW 2002s and E30s at the event. Love going to the event, but for some strange reason they won't allow E36 M3s. As an owner of an E36 M3, I'm a little disappointed at the event and the discrimination against that particular variant or type of car. Hopefully one day this will change and they'll admit the E36 into the event. All in all, it's a spectacular event. Lots of fun. I highly recommend you go check it out if you get a chance. You meet wonderful people and spend a great day looking at all of these beautiful cars, wishing that you had one just like that. I think events like this is why I have what I have right now. At the event, my wife realized that I did not have a driving old BMW to be able to take to the Vintage. She told me to find one that she could also drive that was an automatic, and she'd like a convertible. So off I went, and a few days later in late May, I found one on Craigslist about an hour and a half away in Waynesville, North Carolina. It was advertised as need power steering pump, but runs great otherwise. The owner indicated that the car ran, was reliable, but did have some issues. He indicated that he had recently driven the car back and forth to Raleigh several times, which is a couple of hour drive. He didn't know any real history on the car, but Did not know when the timing belt was last been done. Apparently he was moving out of country and needed to sell the car. The owner and I set up a time to come see the car, and unfortunately I got up there late, so I found the car under a shed at nighttime. Took a quick look at the car in the dark, and then I took a short test drive. I made the owner an offer, and he accepted. I already brought the cash, so I immediately paid him, signed over the title, and drove it back home an hour and a half. He drove well, but I was very unfamiliar with the car, and it was a long drive, so it was not perfect, but it drove well. Here are some photos of the car the day after I got it home. I started ordering a few parts, cleaned him up a little, and I tried to do some improvements. He got a new timing belt, a new tensioner, water pump, and power steering pump. Oil change, coolant flush. So installed a new rotor and cap when I did the timing belt. I changed the fuel regulator as there was a small fuel leak. I had one thing that was driving me nuts that was cosmetic, but it was not necessary for the safety of the car. The lip at the bottom of the front bumper was missing and was driving me nuts. It just didn't look right, so I went ahead and ordered and added a new one. There I tagged and drove it. I put less than 2,000 miles on it so far, basically just driving her around on weekends. I have a few immediate plans for the car. Safety and maintenance, which is the most important. I double check the brakes as they're soft. I think it probably needs pad and probably could use a fluid flush. Automatic transmission shifts hard and has a problem going into third gear when cold. Once it warms up, it seems to shift fine, but I'm hoping that changing the filter and fluid will help improve the situation with shifting. I want to check the compression, change out the spark plugs. Are old, but they're serviceable right now, with the exception of the spare and the front left tire, which both have a leak. The spare is currently on the car because the leak is slower with that one, but I need to get both of those taken care of and put the tire in the trunk. I want to double check the suspension. Sometimes when taking off from a cold start, it's got a slight shimmy in the front end, which could be either brakes or some other suspension component. The right rear tail light is cracked and needs to be repaired. And I have a catch-22 situation with the headlights and turn signals. Basically, when one's on, the other one doesn't work. So if I turn my headlights on, the turn signals do not work. If I turn the headlights off, the turn signals work fine. That's got to be some kind of wiring or relay issue, right? There's a few other items on the car that need to be addressed, either from an annoyance perspective or from some sort of damage to one of the parts or something along that lines. The driver's side lower molding strip is partially coming off and is cracked. I've got it taped up, but I may take it off for now. See what I can find then where I can reasonably feel like I'm not going to lose that part, because it doesn't seem to be too easy to get a hold of. Some genius drilled regular holes in the trunk lid to install a spoiler, from what I can tell, but some of those areas are damaged. I currently have them covered up by duct tape, and we're going to pretend we didn't see this for right now. Both front seats need help. I think I might put a cover on them, or I may disassemble them at some point and see if I can reattach the stitching that's missing. I have to do more investigation into that. The rear bumper needs help. Looks like it's been in a fender bender in the back, and the molding strips have been busted off, so a previous owner came up with their own design and even used a wood screw to attach the bumper on the right rear side. These rear bumpers for convertibles seem to be kind of rare, so what I'm going to try to do is to do the best I can with what I've got while I'm looking for a new one, but I just want to try to make it look a little bit better. As with many E30s, or almost all E30s, the odometer doesn't work. It's been stuck at 116,257 since I got the car. There's no telling what the actual mileage is. The guy I bought the car from estimated it was about 135,000, although I don't know. Both front fenders have some dents and some Bondo, so what I want to try to do is to try to get those kind of taken care of at some point. They're not too bad. I have new fenders to go on the car, but that's fairly low on my priority list. Rear brake light needs some help too. Mirrors need repainting and reconditioning. There is some rust on the car, but we're going to just ignore that for right now. Look at it in a future video. However, I don't see anything structural at this point that would prevent me from being able to work on the car and drive it some. I also think the paint will do a lot better with a little bit of paint correction and some polishing. There's a lot of dents and scratches and dings that are going to need to be addressed at a point, but right now, not worried about all that. My overall goal for the car is a rough 10 to 20 foot car that's fun to drive. It will never be a pristine example. I'm looking to keep the car as OEM as much as possible with period correct upgrades as needed. I'll not be trying to do any engine swaps or setting up the car to drift. I want a nice fun weekend car that I can take the top down and enjoy with the family. In our next video, we'll clean up the interior, the exterior, the engine bay, the wheels, undercarriage. Take a look at underneath the car for rust, further explore some of the rust spots on the car, and create a further to-do list. Since this is a running, driving car, this is going to be more of a rolling restoration, rejuvenation, or whatever you would like to call it. Basically just trying to get the car to get improved a little bit. Motivation is key here. You can get out and do this in your own garage on your own project. Thanks for watching. Subscribe and comment if you like this content.